We tend to think of the Founding Fathers as comrades, best buddies, fighting together against an oppressive British government that sought to enslave them. It is true that the men we think of as the Founding Fathers cooperated in the struggle to gain independence from England. However, they did not necessarily like each other. They did not all think alike. In fact, once America gained independence, and especially once the national government gained significant power with the ratification of the Constitution in 1789, it became clear that many of the founders had deep and abiding differences with each other. In other words, they hated each other's guts. Perhaps no two early American leaders exemplify this better than the first Secretary of State and later third President, Thomas Jefferson, and his ideological antagonist, Alexander Hamilton, the nation's first Secretary of the Treasury. Jefferson feared strong government. He believed that governments, if given too much power, would inevitably oppress the people. Hamilton, on the other hand, believed that the United States needed a powerful national government, not only to defend itself against other nations, but to drive the American economy forward. Jefferson believed in the virtues of the small landowning rural farmer, while Hamilton celebrated urban merchants and manufacturers. Not surprisingly, these two men, and the political parties that formed around them, the Democratic Republicans and the Federalists, also differed over how to properly interpret the American Constitution. Jefferson believed in what he called strict construction. That is, unless the text of the Constitution specifically grants a particular power or right to the national government, it is prohibited from exercising this power. This power is reserved to the state governments. For example, the text of the Constitution says nothing about creating a national bank. Therefore, Jefferson insisted the national government, Congress, had no power to create one. Only the individual states possessed this right. Hamilton, on the other hand, thought this was absurd. He believed in what we might call loose construction. In other words, if the text of the Constitution did not specifically prohibit a power to the national government, then it was free to exercise such power. Hamilton argued, for example, that since the Constitution did not expressly prohibit Congress from creating a national bank, it was free to do so. This may sound boring and arcane to many of you, but it has absolutely crucial consequences for how we understand and continue to debate the American Constitution today. To oversimplify, Jefferson's interpretation of the Constitution favored a limited national government, while Hamilton's vision was quite comfortable with a government of undefined and potentially ever-expanding powers. This debate would fundamentally shape the course of American politics for the first generation under the Constitution.